The guys you know and trust, talking about the teams you can't live without. This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, The Zone. Travis, good morning. We talked to you last summer, and it was because Egor was coming to BYU, and the news broke, and we're like, okay, he's from Russia. Travis played in Russia. He's going to BYU. Travis is going to be very well informed. Let's get Travis on the air. And you talked about Kevin Young, and you talked about Egor, and you were very upbeat. Now, the whole season didn't live up to what you talked about. There was some, late December, early January, somewhere in there. It was there was some potholes, but man, these last 6 to 8 weeks have been awesome. BYU's been on fire, and I've thought back to that conversation like, well, this is what Travis was pointing for, and I guess the only question is, did you think it would happen like this, or is this a little more success a little earlier in the Kevin Young era than even you thought would happen?
Well, there's much more visionaries over at the BYU athletic department than I. Lots of guys and girls do their job and hire amazing coaches and try to put all the pieces together to allow their programs to succeed. What I saw was, after playing professional basketball for 12 years, I saw a young man in Egor Demin that can play, that has high IQ, that understands the game, that's socially aware, that comes from a basketball family, and that's been trained up for the last 3 years from Real Madrid. So I knew he was going to be special. I knew he was going to get his job done. Now, there's ups and downs of the season, and not everyone's perfect and consistent, but in the end, they got the job done. And I think that's what you see with Kevin Young. Historically, he's got the job done. You don't stay in the NBA for as many years as he has without showing up, without showing that you can, you're capable and responsive, and that you're super competitive. So they put the pieces together, and sometimes you get lucky and you get to the Sweet 16. So, but you guys, PK's texted me and said BYU Sweet 16 last summer.
Yeah, but was he making a prediction, or was he trying to taunt you and provoke you into something?
No, he said DJ does not believe. I'm a believer. PK texted me and said BYU Sweet 16, $100. I said done. So I've lost $100 to PK.
No one believes any of that. PK would never bet $100 on anything. He's way too tight with a buck.
I'd bet $100 on Travis Hansen's ability to evaluate players.
There you go.
Yes, there's no question about that. I mean, he's talked to me about players many times. Back when he was playing, he talked to me about players and stuff that I don't even want to go into on the air.
They were that good of analysis,
yes,
huh? That pithy and to the point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he was right. Yeah, about some of his teammates. But did you see the story in ESPN that was posted this morning?
I have not. About BYU, Alabama tonight?
No, about Egor.
No, I have not.
Oh, yeah. They didn't. You're not quoted, but it talks about Egor and his background and Kevin Young and blah blah blah, and it goes through, and then about halfway through the middle of the story, it says, "Then there was the Travis Hansen factor," and I'm looking at it. And it talks about how the standout career at BYU, you played the year with the Hawks, then went overseas and did the Russian thing, and then before that, Real Madrid, and how his Egor was, I think it's Vladimir is his name, is Egor's father.
His dad, yep.
Yeah, and that he retired right before you got to Russia, but that your paths crossed, and so you guys were familiar with each other, and they did a Zoom call. And it was the Demin family, Kevin Young, and Travis Hansen. And then this is Egor's quote. First time I came here, I went to his house. He invited me for dinner. They have an awesome family, big family, really kind people. Travis Hansen was really a big reason for me coming here. Having Travis on my side is special. How cool is that to you?
I mean, his family means a lot to us. His dad ran the junior program, so development of the junior players in Russia when I played for Dynamo, and was a great guy. And his mom's awesome as well. She works for a basketball club there and in the junior program. So they're basketball people. It goes back to, I'm just trying to pay forward what has been done to me and what people have mentored me and guided me. I'm coming out of BYU my senior year, 2003, and I have 50 agents, that are contacting me, telling me they can help me. They can help me reach my dreams. They can, do all the things that help me and my family reach the NBA. And I don't know who's who, so I send a list to Danny Ainge, and Danny Ainge texts back and says there's only 2 on that entire list of 50 that could get the job done for you: Bill Duffy and Justin Zanuck. So I meet with both of them, ultimately choose Bill Duffy, and Bill Duffy is the agent for Luka Doncic and Carmelo Anthony and Steve Nash and Yao Ming, and Bill Duffy changed my life. And so when Danny Ainge was retiring from the Boston Celtics, he talked to me about he's going to open up had he not joined the Jazz, consulting type of agency or company just to help these kids. These kids are so talented and so good, but their families and them, they don't know all the hidesters and chucksters and shady people out there that are so-called agents. They don't know the truth. Like, who's going to tell them the truth? Who's going to guide them and help them have a great career and protect them more than anything from all the distractions? And so Danny Ainge now joined the Utah Jazz as the CEO. He was going to do that. So that's what I do. It's when people ask me, I try to guide them and mentor them, because that's what people have done to me that allowed me to live, my dreams out and have a great career. So hopefully we were able to do that for Egor and many more athletes that come through BYU and other organizations.
You ever wonder what your life would have been like if you'd ended up with one of the other 48?
I know exactly what it'd be like. Would have played 1 or 2, 3 years in Turkey or somewhere, wouldn't have gotten drafted by Atlanta, and had no idea what this other life would have been like with Bill Duffy. And this is the key, is when he calls, there's a lot of manipulation. And, I think I've watched 50 college games this year, and I think there's 500 lottery picks. It's like, who's telling the truth? Like, what do the GMs actually think? I talked to a GM just the other day, and he says, oh, yeah, this guy and this guy's at least the seventh pick in the draft, but he's picking 6th. So what does he care who's picking 7th? And so there's just it's hard to find the truth in today's world. And Danny has helped guide me the whole way through. And Duffy, when he calls GMs of NBA teams, they think he's calling about Luka or Steve Nash or Carmelo. And then he's like, nah, I'm talking about Travis Hansen. And they're like, oh, well, we've still picked up the phone. Well, how can we help Travis? What do you think about Travis? And they'll tell Bill the truth, because they don't want to have a bad relationship with Bill, because he has, many other players that they're going to want. And so it goes down. Chad Lewis talks about this in his book about surrounding yourself with great people. And it's just sometimes really hard to find great people. And I'm thankful to Danny Ainge and others that have helped me surround myself with great people, because I did not know who they were at the time.
In his own way, Egor's game has really been elevated as the season has come on. And I really like him because he has hype, but yet you wouldn't know it. You would think he's just another guy, because he doesn't really show emotion. He just kind of does his thing. But he's clearly been playing better as the season has gone on. What do you attribute that to?
Again, he's surrounded by really good people. There's a time that there's so much in his head, and also being injured is really hard to get back quickly, physically, mentally, and kind of get back in that perfectly tuned feel that you have. And he's just a fighter. He's super tough mentally. He really is driven. I mean, he'll team practices to his own personal individuals, to the time he puts in by himself. It's amazing how much he loves this game and how successful he wants to be. And so it goes back to surrounding yourself with great people. KY and the staff have been awesome, and they continue to motivate him and watch film and break it down and show him where he can be more efficient and effective. You see that with Richie Saunders last year to this year. Every single number of Richie Saunders is up, whether it's field goal percentage or 3-point attempts and where they're attempted from. And the staff has done a great job of helping put him in a position to be successful. And then ultimately comes down to the player. Can they make the right play? Can they actually put that ball in the hoop when it matters? And again, it goes back to having really good mentors. At some point this season, we met with Egor and said, everyone knows you can pass. Everyone knows you have high IQ and your length and greatness. You got to be more of a weapon. You got to play faster, and you got to be a little tougher, and you got to start showing people you can score. Because what they're doing, we come off a screen, they're reading the pass, and they're letting you shoot that ball. And you saw it against Arizona, and you've seen it here in the NCAA tournament. He started to turn it up and make that read to be more of a shot first, pass second, and he has the ability to do it.
Alabama has some good size along the front line, but that backcourt's a couple of 6'1" guys. Obviously, Egor is going to have a huge height advantage there unless they do something different with their matchups. Do you think that BYU can score enough points to go out and win this game? Because it does look like it's going to require another 90-point effort.
Well, thank goodness that's our strength. It's not going to be a knockdown, physical, defensive battle where just offensive line beating the crap out of each other and trying to get to 50 points. This is what we do. We score points, and then we try to get as many stops as possible, and that's what this team's strength is. So it's going to be a fun game. Get ready for some buckets. We're going back and forth, and ultimately, if we can score more than they can, 49. What was it? What were we? 46% from three and 90% from free throw to beat Wisconsin. That's what it took. So guys have got to come in. They got to make shots, and because Alabama's going to make shots. So can we get enough stops and can we get enough buckets? And that's honestly, that's what BYU has done this year. So it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, but Travis, tell you my level of confidence. How do you think they match up against Duke?
You got to get through Alabama first.
Oh,
Duke would be awesome.
That's just a formality, man. That's a preliminary.
You already made your $100 off me. Come on, man. You already made your money.
Well, Kevin Young isn't going to hear this. Come on. You think you're going to win tonight, and you're going to scout that Arizona game against Duke and give Kevin some insight on how to beat them.
What?
I know you are.
That's our hope. I mean, I'm staying in New York 2 more days, and I don't fly out till Saturday, or till Sunday morning. I'm planning on it.
Yeah.
Let's go, man. Let's go. How awesome would that be? Elite Eight versus Duke. Egor versus Cooper Flag. Let's go.
Yeah. That would just be. I would like to see, in all sincerity, honesty, or whatever, seriousness, I guess. I would like to see what Mag would do against Cooper Flag. I think that would be a fun individual matchup.
So would I. I'd love to see that matchup. And as my kids said last night, as we were flying into New York, they were looking at their brackets, and my son's like, okay, so we beat Alabama, then we beat Duke, and then we see Kentucky and Polk in the Final Four. I said, let's go. That'd be so awesome. I'm texting Pope. I'm like, Final Four. Get your job done. We'll get our job done over here. That'd be awesome. That'd be super fun.
I'm wondering, there's been talk of BYU spending the money and all that with people who are willing to spend it. Did they ever ask you, is it worth spending the money on player XYZ?
We do have talks about valuing certain players and the market value. Yes, we have talked about that.
I figured.
I'm interested in how you judge market value. What do you think the average NIL is for a Sweet 16 team? You're just talking to a guy who's, all I know is the Big West. That's a whole different they got nothing compared to these teams. But I look at these programs, they all ought to be really well funded. What does it take to build a Sweet 16 team?
Well, it's so interesting that, it's so interesting you guys asked this because we've had this discussion quite a bit. Look at Todd Phillips at UVU. I think their NIL budget is 0 or 50,000, and that he put together an incredible team. And so, I don't know the answer to that question. I would say It just depends. You got to go find guys that that want to win and they're competitive, and sometimes they're second chance guys. They were at D1, they were at JUCO, something didn't work out. They're Prop 48 kids, and they're really looking at an opportunity to show what they can do, and that's what Utah Valley University goes after. BYU goes after a mix. They go after guys that, like Mag, who was at Rutgers, it didn't really work out very well for him, but he wants a second opportunity. He believes he has more to show. You mix that with a global pipeline of potential lottery picks, and then guys that you've developed that are the most amazing LDS kids that you can find, and you got a winning formula. And so, I think you kind of look at it in a little bit different perspective of how you can put together the best team with the best personalities that all want to be driven and are serious people about basketball. And then, if you have to pay some money, you pay some money to put together that team. But sometimes it's, a lot less than you think it would be.
Do you think that it's going to be important for BYU to maintain the LDS factor? Because it looks like they can get a roster, a lot more non-LDS guys, but I'm wondering how that's going to play over there, because there's some people who think that we still have to have, quote unquote, our guys.
Well, you look at the Clippers. Steve Ballmer's got more money than anybody, and he's trying to go sign the best players, and that didn't work out very well. My 17-year-old started being a Clippers fan for a minute, and he quickly repented of, he says the other day, well, at least we have the best stadium, but our team's not very good. And so you have to land the best LDS kids. Yes, you always have to. They're the best. They're awesome. They're great kids, and they fit within the mission of what BYU is. And then you find complementary people that are serious about what they want to do. And so it's a lot more about art than science about putting these teams together. You can't just go buy the best people. It doesn't work in the pros and it doesn't work in college. You have to genuinely know these kids. You got to know their families. You got to know what motivates them. You got to know what their incentives are, and you got to find kids that fit. And that's ultimately who ends up winning championships. And, that's what Duke has been great at. And that's what, a bunch of other schools that we look at as, who we want to be like at BYU. And I think we can make it happen.
In addition to the story on Egor on ESPN.com, there's one about Kentucky and, Arkansas, Kentucky, and BYU, and how the coaching dominoes fell, and how in the first year at their new schools, all three coaches are in the Sweet 16. How much of that comes down to investment in the program, and not just financial, but investment in the program and mindset? Because that's a lot of first-year success that didn't necessarily have to happen. It wasn't automatically going to happen for any of those three schools, and yet it happened for all three. Yeah,
we say there's wins and success go where they're wanted most. And it can't be one person. It can't be Coach Pope. Well, I want it the most, so obviously it's going to come. It's a team game, and collectively you have to all want it. So you have to have the backing of the administration. You have to have the backing of the boosters and the fans. You have to have the backing of the players and the coach. Now, the coach and maybe an admin drives it. And if they're very likable and if they're trustworthy and they can execute when the game's on the line, you can call a timeout with 8 or 9 seconds on the shot clock, and you can, put together the best play to get the ball in your best player's hands. That ultimately breeds confidence and allows people to start to trust and put money in and believe. So ultimately those coaches that you're talking about got it done. They get people to believe in them and their program, and they also have administrations that are completely 100% in with resources. And so that's what you've seen at BYU. Everyone has been in. Kevin Young walked into a team that Coach Pope and his staff and Santiago had put together. It's a pretty dang good team. And then he lands Chris Burgess, who is able to bring Kaba. And then, somehow, luckily, the world comes together, and Egor and his wonderful family believes that, my wife and I and KY can take care of him here in Utah. So you have enough people that are engaged in a program with success, magic can happen.
Oh, he drops the magic
He
can
did.
happen.
I saw
like
it right
that.
there. There it
That's
is.
beautiful. And magic will happen, my good man, Travis Hansen. They play in New Jersey, and I don't know if you know this, but I was born in New Jersey, spent the first 14 years of my life there. It is all coming together for us, the BYU Cougars.
Hey, did the magic happen to quote from Austin Collie? Did I just shout out Austin Collie?
Yes, you did. And that was with
gosh.
you know who was interviewing him when he said that? That was a one-on-one interview after they beat Utah in magical fashion, and he was speaking into the microphone that was being held by me. It's all coming together, my good man.
Oh, my. It's a small world. Oh, my gosh. And I'm in New Jersey. Will you text me the direction of your home you grew up in? I'll drive by and take a picture.
My father was born and raised in East Orange, which is literally right next to Newark. You can walk to his house from where you are. It is literally minutes away.
That's pretty cool, man. Well, it makes a lot more sense knowing that you're from New Jersey the way you are. So that makes me happy. This place is great. We're excited to play tonight, and shout out to Austin Collie. You know the funny thing? I come out of Mountain View High School in Orem, Utah.
Yeah.
And BYU was 1-25.
Yeah.
At the time,
Yeah.
nobody wanted to go to BYU at that time.
I remember.
University of Utah, Final Four. The one place I wanted to go so bad was University of Utah. And Rick Majerus was so good to me. He was so awesome. He even helped me host BYU. But we went to one practice, and my mom was still alive. Ultimately, that same year passed away from pancreatic cancer. And, losing your mom is just so devastating. But she went to one practice with Rick Majerus, and he did not show well his language and some of the things he was a great coach, right? But it was those other things of building the person. My mom was like, I can't let you go there. And ultimately we chose to go to BYU, and look what happened. Magic happened. So again, we're trying to find genuinely good people. I think Coach Pope said this: when I build my roster, it's not about money. I'm finding genuinely good players that love to compete. And that's what we try to do here at BYU too. And so I try to follow genuinely good people. Not that University of Utah isn't. They are. There's some good people up there. But, man, if Rick would have just held his tongue or, operated a little bit differently, things might have been different up there.
Well, you're not the first person to say that. I mean, run back what you just said and think how many people have said that. If he could have held his tongue and done things differently. But
hey, he was honestly, he was really good to me. And we're cheering on Alex Jensen, whose wife and my wife went to elementary school together, and we hope that they can have all the success in the world up there as well.
Wait a minute, run that back. Your wife and Alex's wife went to elementary school together.
Yeah. Best friends in elementary school. We love Natalie. Natalie's
Small
awesome.
Lake City.
Yeah.
Good people.
And
genuinely good people up there.
In Jersey, and Travis, I clearly knew you. You were one of my friends before we got to Earth. I'll just leave it at that.
Imagine if we would have grown up in Jersey together.
I think you got a little in you.
Would have got in trouble. Would have been fun. DJ doesn't know about Jersey. DJ grew up in the suburbs of some rich
He's learned secondhand.
I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot about Jersey. I don't know if you can really appreciate how much I've heard about Jersey.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. Did sidewalks and curbs to the till the 7th grade, but then out in the sticks. We moved. So all San Diego, but
San Diego.
Yep. South Bay to the East County. Yeah, there you go.
That's a great place to grow up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind growing up in San Diego. That's awesome.
Most people from Utah go to North County, and they go to the beach. So different part of the county.
Spring break, Orange County, California. Basically, all Utahs move in for a weekend.
Pretty much, yes. Where do you go? You go to Dana Point?
Newport.
He's Newport all the way. No San Clemente or San Juan Capistrano for this guy. Newport.
We do love it out there. We got family out there that are awesome. And most of the time we do go out there and go eat at Baja Tacos. Shout out Baja. But we're going to Florida this year.
Nice.
Andy Reid ever let you stay at his house? PK's got
I
stories.
love Andy. We just had lunch last week in Provo. I love Andy Reid. He's such a good human. He was with Patty Edwards out to lunch as well, and Patty and Lavelle were on my nonprofit board for years. So yeah, at BYU, there's so many good people. You know, the GM of the arena out here is a member of the LDS Church. You know, we've got people everywhere. It's amazing.
Great. Nice. I did not know that. Now we know.
It's amazing. Andy Reid has been so successful. He's such a good guy. He's got a great mustache, too.
He does.
All right, well, we'll see if you're right. You and Pope meeting up at the Final Four. Both wearing blue, but different shades.
Hope see you in San Antonio.
All right.
DJ PK, you're my favorites. Love you guys. Go Cougs.
Thank you, Travis. Travis Hansen joining us here, former BYU basketball player, and now, if he's not the godfather, what is he? The uncle to the program?
Yeah, I think Ainge is the godfather.
Ainge has godfather status.
But Travis is Michael Corleone.
Vito and Michael.
Ainge is 66 years old now.
Ainge is Vito. Travis is Michael.
Yes.
There's probably way more truth to that than either one of us appreciated at first, right?
Stuff I didn't ask the question without knowing the answer.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Coming up, Cole Bagley joins us at 9 o'clock. We will talk with Cole about the Utah Hockey Club, the road trip to Florida. That's in half an hour right here in The Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
Greatest era in BYU basketball and football. BYU's football team, who finished their Big 12 play at 7-2. They finished the season 11-2. And now this BYU team goes to the Sweet 16 the very same year, the second year of the Big 12. And because I started to think, okay, what are the great years of BYU basketball? You go straight to Danny Ainge in 1981.
BYU was coming off a great year in 1979, and all of a sudden Jim McMahon's their quarterback. The guy's a star, but they pull off the Miracle Bowl win. Danny Ainge leads BYU to the Elite Eight. One shining moment, do you know where that all really started? The 1981 NCAA tournament. One of the reasons why we have what we have today was because of what Danny Ainge did. That year, to me, with the star power of Jim McMahon and Danny Ainge, combined with what those teams accomplished on the field/court, puts them number one.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. 20 years and still going strong. Utah's #1 sports radio show for over 2 decades. You're listening to DJ and PK on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Ethan Miller with Teton Wealth will be live in studio with Hans and Scotty today to help you with your retirement plan. Tune in or visit retireteton.com. Question of the morning. Do you really believe the Elite Eight is happening for BYU? And in the short run, well, sure, it's a Sweet 16 game, and they could win, and they could get to the Elite Eight. Big picture, that sounds like a weird phrase, doesn't it? Any sentence that has BYU and Elite Eight in it?
Yeah.
Without the word not, don't, won't, some negative connotation?
Yeah.
They've been there one time in 50 years. And we go back 50 years, it's a nice round number, but it's also when the tournament started changing. It was about 50 years ago that they started letting in more than one team from a conference. Before that, you had to win the conference championship, and it was a 25, 26 team tournament. And it went to 32, and they let in runners-up. And then over the next decade, it went to 64.
It was like 85, 86, somewhere in there?
Yeah, somewhere around 85 is when it went to 64 teams, and somewhere around 75 is when they let in. I think 76 was the first year they let in more than one team, and the Big Ten immediately had 2 teams in the title game. Just boom, right away. It was either the first or second year they did it.
Not that long ago, but seems like 1,000 years ago in terms of what's
happened
today.
Well, and especially because what we've had in 5 years is night and day.
It's amazing. And it's amazing that BYU is there. And your takeaway from the Travis Hansen interview is BYU basketball as a program has many different layers. You got your Tom Homo, you got Brian Santiago, Kevin Young and his assistants, the players, but you got over here the money donors. You got Travis Hansen advising them. You got Danny Ainge, who has a wealth of knowledge on everything related to hoop, involved in the program and has been involved in the program for a long time. and they just have like their things are in order for them to be able to succeed. And it's not really accidental. Like, oh, we just stumbled into it. We got hot. Like a mid-major may get hot.
And they have their year and they have their moment in the sun, but it's clearly not sustainable.
Right. This is something that is buildable. They've really got, and they got guys who've got vested interest. I mean, Travis Hansen has no official title with BYU basketball, but Travis Hansen has significant influence for the good on BYU basketball. That's a fact.
Two things he said in there. We want good people. That can mean a lot of things, right? But I combine it with what he said about winning goes where it's wanted. And not just by one person, a lot of people. And the people have to be focused on the winning. When it gets to other things, then they get in the way. And it can be, well, right off the top, it can be wine, women, and song. Women make the knees weak, Rocky. That's an old story. Chasing money, jealousy. I mean, NIL has the chance to rip a team apart. Some players getting some and some players not. That can be, everybody's got to be focused. And I thought at the podium at their press conference yesterday, the tater tots answer from Richie Saunders, it's clear they've been talking about this and everybody's on the same page. He's like, I don't like to do NIL stuff in season, and coach told me I have to do it in season, that's how it works in the NBA because the NBA season's so long and you have to learn to compartmentalize, do your thing, and then back to the main thing. And you got to be able to make that switch and be mentally strong enough to do it. But you can't get distracted by it. Money can get in the way. Fame can get in the way. Ego, chasing stats can get in the way. There's all kinds of off-field troubles. To me, it's incredible that Georgia's won as much as they win. They keep having issues, and they're trying. I think that's to the point now where they're clearly trying to address it, and it's not having the impact because they had another kid arrested for doing 100 miles an hour in a car.
107.
107.
I've never driven 107.
And like the coach, Kirby
my
Smart,
Vega does not go that much.
Does not, yeah.
Doesn't go that fast.
I was getting Kirby Smart about it. And he's like, we bring people in. We haven't talked to them. We've had multiple sessions. Like, what is going to change this?
Well, I think you put your keys in the football office.
That would help.
Check them out to you.
He did say that there are a lot of 18 and 19-year-olds showing up without driver's licenses. So if they just didn't drive and used car service, that would stop it.
Yeah. But BYU's in a really good spot. I think I can say with confidence they're in a great spot. And that blows me away. The confidence that I have in them that this isn't going to go away. It has been 14 years since they've been this far. And beyond that, it was, I think, 30 years, 40 years before they got there prior. And they're not going to need the National Player of the Year. Now, they may end up getting that. I mean,
as soon as next year, right?
Right. Yeah.
If DeBonsa lives up to all the hype or exceeds the hype.
Right. I voted for Flagg as my Wooden Award winner, and he's going to be a one and done, obviously, and maybe this kid is. But they're going to have, I believe, sustained success to levels that they haven't had. And that blows me away.
Right. But all the previous stuff is WAC and Mountain West, and now they're Big 12. And all the previous stuff is with different transfer rules and no NIL. And they're clearly making these rules work to their advantage in a way that, and you said this earlier in your show, this is such a great example. It was just 18 months ago. It was even a young lad like Chicho thinks it was recent that they didn't want to do the truck deal.
Yeah.
And now DeBonsa, and you're like, how many million? There's another story today. Now the number apparently is up to 8.5 million, which it was 6, it was 7, it was 7.5. Now it's 8.5. But it makes sense that it'd be changing. I mean, he can sign NIL deals in the meantime. So if he's getting more now, it's not surprising.
Right. And I actually think that what I've heard is that the family has put a cap on it. So to make sure that, to quote Jake Retzlaff, the main thing is the main thing. He loves that quote.
He does.
And they feel like, okay, we've got what we need here and what we want.
I think
so now let's concentrate on ball because this is the most important thing going forward.
The story was don't go take the most money. Everybody who meets the $5 million threshold is a finalist. Now let's pick among them, and no matter what the number turns out to be.
which I had heard is in the $8 million range.
Right.
And what are you going to do? I don't even bat an eyelash on it. I know others are blown away, and this is going to wreck this and that.
It's shocking, but the money got big in pro sports, and it didn't wreck pro sports. So if the money gets big in college sports, it's going to wreck college sports.
And if you go by TV ratings, they're up more than blah, 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 and all that stuff. Right. So yada, yada. And here we are.
Whether Cinderella can compete or not may not matter if some of these big schools decide to pull away anyway. So who's to say where this is going?
Yeah, and if the public accepts it, and we hear about a lot, but the arena will be packed tonight, the arena will be packed Saturday, on and on. And TVs, everyone is going to be watching that has an interest. Absolutely, man. And they're going to see BYU. Turn on that station, you see BYU as the warm-up act to Duke.
Duke in Arizona in prime time.
Yeah, that's the big draw.
Right. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, The Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
The culture that we knew is gone, and it is being replaced by guys who are willing to leave the NBA to go do the college job, because in the past, college was an unthinkable job. You want me to recruit? It's horrendous. It's horrible. You have to cheat to do it right. Now you don't have to. I think we're going to see this more and more. I just think Utah's early on this. Wes Wilcox is not going to be the highest-ranking NBA front office person to take a college job 12 months from now. I think we're going to see a real infiltration of this.
What's his role? Drafting guys? I don't know. I don't think the NBA thing's going to work there. Maybe that's why I'm down on this thing. I don't think the NBA sales job, I don't think that's going to work at Utah. I really don't. I don't think because he goes, I was the assistant GM in Sacramento. All of a sudden, AJ DeBonta is going to Utah. I don't think that's...
No, I agree. I don't think that's part of it.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. The guys you know and trust, talking about the teams you can't live without. This is DJ and PK on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We are 8 hours away from game time for BYU and for the Dodgers opener on ESPN and for the puck dropping. You can have 3 screens. Utah Hockey Club, 5 o'clock start in Tampa.
Yes, I'm going to come over to your guest house.
That a kid.
You ever been over there, Chicho? Can you get by?
No.
Yeah, it's something. The compound.
The guard, I tried. The guard stopped me at the gate.
The compound where he lives, beautiful view of the city, the mountains.
You're not old enough to know, but in the early days of the show, there was talk of a moat and also albino alligators, just to keep people at bay.
I didn't add that. Others did.
Yeah.
No, I just went with the truth.
So did I when I brought up the albino alligators.
Okay, yeah. You haven't invited me over for years. I mean, decades even. Where you literally have stood inside my house.
I have.
I mean, that's a difference.
Yeah. Pick you up and give you rides.
Yeah. You just go over and you go by the, over there, and you get a little nervous. I usually
go by over there. I don't even know that was leading. Neither did you. You hit a dead end, did you? I can't figure anything to do with that.
I might say something, but I don't want to be offensive.
Since when? When did this start? Tell me about this new leak you've turned over. Hey, tell Lloyd to come in here. Here, there's a Whopper coming. Here comes PK's going to tell a Whopper.
No, it's the honest truth.
Okay.
As they say where I grew up, it's the God's honest truth.
That's a Jersey thing. That's appropriate because where's BYU today?
They're in Jersey.
Jersey.
Yeah, why am I not there? Shocking. I would love to be there, but I'm not. I will be watching it on my television. And to answer your original question, no, I will not have multiples. I will be locked down on the BYU and then adjusting therein because the BYU game is by far the most important game.
Clearly. Utah Hockey Club, it's slipping away, so you can see where this is going. And the Dodgers aren't local, and we do a local show. So there you go.
Right. Now, I've been a Dodger fan since I've been about 15 years old after I moved to Arizona. And but you can flick around, and there'll be halftime. I don't need any analysis at halftime.
Not to mention the 47,000 commercials.
Yeah. So, but it will be at 5 o'clock. Absolutely, 100% on BYU.
You put this up, and it's only good for today. Opening day is today. How can life get any better?
It can.
And Kevin did. Well, Mark says BYU beating Alabama will definitely make opening day better.
Sweeter.
There it is. Kevin says, it'll be better when it's opening day and we have a team in Utah.
But we don't. Not a major league team.
How could it be better?
It's not opening day for the Bees yet. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. And they had some folks out at the ballpark yesterday. Right. Now, obviously, when there's a team here, which I think will be when, not if, will be just incredible. Yeah.
Great says it'll be better when Cooper Flagg and the finisher and Keontae George are holding the Larry O'Brien.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on George. I don't know about George.
Yeah.
Or marketing for that matter.
Will those three ever play together?
I don't know that they're going to get the number one pick, but I think they're going to get a top 3 pick, and I think they're going to get a really good player. And I was just thinking about this walking down the hall. Travis Hansen's big on people, getting people in the right spot.
Yeah.
Right? And having good people. And I think, and I know it's all sorts of frustration, and there is no light at the end of the tunnel right now, but I still go back that I think the Jazz hierarchy has competent people in place to be able to get the job done. It is going to take a while. I understand all of that. And if you're in your 40s and 50s, you want to win right now because you don't know what's down the line, even if you're in your 20s for that matter. Although normally in your 20s, you don't necessarily think about dying. You think about dying, Chicho, much?
Not really.
Yeah, right.
I stay away from it.
Right. But as you get older, and
you go to more funerals, you can't avoid it.
Yeah, and you know time is getting away. You look in the eyes of your children, and they just grow up overnight on you. So I understand that mindset, but if you can somehow bear with it, which is tough and much easier for me to say than it is for the hardcore fan to endure, I get it. I do think they'll have the good people in place to be contending again.
DJ PK, when we come back, we're joined by Cole Bagley, our hockey insider, talking Utah Hockey Club. They are in Tampa tonight. And as this season winds down, we start looking forward to the summer and what they can do. We'll talk with Cole next. Stay with us.